It is Thanksgiving Day, and it means Thanksgiving Day football. But we have two huge rivalry games in college football with a lot at stake, and I've got a full slate of NFL action I'm going to talk about on this special weekend. This is a special edition of the Scott Manning YouTube Sports Weekend Kickoff Show. I am so glad to have you with me here on this Thursday. I rarely do this, but this is a special weekend. I was just going to talk about the NFL, but with so much at stake in these two big games in college football, I just had to throw them in for good measure. And we will start the show right after this.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sport.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. The last song that you heard was the fight song for the Ohio State University Buckeyes, and Ohio State's got a special weekend this weekend. We start the show. We're talking about two of the biggest games in college football this weekend. The rivalry. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 5, Michigan. What is at stake? Well, there's a lot of things. Number 1, the Big Ten East Division and a trip to Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship game. The winner of this game is going to keep their college football playoff hopes alive. And if Michigan loses to Ohio State, Jim Harbaugh's job may literally be on the hot seat. And I'll get back to Harbaugh here in just a sec. The key matchup to this game is very simple. It's the battle of the running backs. Trevion Henderson of Ohio State, Hassan Haskins of Michigan. So far this year, Trevion Henderson has rushed for 1,098 yards, 14 touchdowns, and he's been averaging 7.3 yards per rush for crying out loud. That can be important for Ohio State. And as for Michigan, Hassan Haskins, he's rushed for over 1,063 yards this season, 13 touchdowns, and he's been averaging 4.9 yards per rush this season. I love this matchup. I really do. And as far as players to watch, I got two from Ohio State and one from Michigan. The two other players from Ohio State to watch out for are C.J. Stroud, the quarterback, the freshman sensation. 3,468 yards passing this season, 36 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And he's got his favorite target, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He has 1,132 yards catching this season, along with 6 touchdowns. And for Michigan, quarterback Cade McNamara. He's passed for over 2,142 yards this season, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Ohio State has won 15 of the last 16 in this rivalry, including the last 8 games in a row. Last year's game was canceled due to COVID. In my professional opinion, I think it was Jim Harbaugh saying, "We surrender." Jim Harbaugh and Cade McNamara may have just added more fuel to the fire. Jim Harbaugh made a comment saying, I'm going to beat Ohio State. I'm going to die trying. Well, Harbaugh, it's do or die this year. You lose to Ohio State, I can almost guarantee Harbaugh will be out the door. Because you've heard all of his big game stuff when it comes to Jim Harbaugh. He's not beating Ohio State. He's only 3-4 against Michigan State. He can't get the job done in the big games. And this is one of the biggest ones of them all. And it's at home in Ann Arbor. Ryan Day, Ohio State head coach Ryan Day has already said, I would love to put 100 on the board up in Ann Arbor. I really would. And this rivalry, and I want you to think back to the old days when it was Woody Hayes. Woody Hayes made this comment. And he said, if we're driving back from Ann Arbor, we will coast and we'll push the car over to the Ohio line because I am not giving the state of Michigan a dime of my money. And that's the truth. He did say that. Way back when. There's one sports site that has already said Ohio State's going to win a close one, 32-26. Some people are thinking 35-24 Ohio State. And that's what I'm thinking right now. I think it's going to be close for a while because it is the rivalry. This is a top 5 matchup, and there's a lot at stake. The winner plays for the Big Ten championship, and it keeps their college football playoff hopes alive. The loser will have a long time to think about what could have been. This is one of the biggest rivalry games in all of college football. Always has been, always will be. It is the greatest rivalry in the history of college sports. Now, some other people may say, no. But I say yes. Because if my mother ever found out I'd like another rivalry over Michigan, Ohio State, she'd kill me. And that's all there is to it. The bottom line is this. There's a lot at stake, including Jim Harbaugh's job. And I think he knows it, and everybody in Ann Arbor knows it. 12 noon on Fox, from Ann Arbor, the kickoff, and let's get ready to rumble. And let's get ready to see Jim Harbaugh cry like a little girl when it's all said and done. All right. That's the first game I want to talk about. The second game, the second big rivalry game in college football this weekend we need to talk about, number 10, Oklahoma, number 7, Oklahoma State. What's at stake in this game? Oh, I know what's at stake. The winner of this game is going to play for the Big 12 championship. Oklahoma head coach Lincoln Riley and Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy have already said, we're going to pull out all the stops. They're going to have to. But the key matchup for this game, and it's a big one, Oklahoma's offense versus Oklahoma State's defense. OU's offense has been averaging 38.9 points per game. And in the rushing department, they've averaged 175.2 yards rushing per game and 446 yards per game, total yards per game. OU's defense has only allowed 14 points against per game, and they've only allowed 82.6 yards rushing. That could be huge. If OK State's defense steps up, look out. And they've only averaged 261.3 yards per game. Mike Gundy's defense is one of the best in the Big 12. That's all there is to it. And, of course, on the watch list, it's Spencer Rattler of Oklahoma. 1,483 yards passing this season, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Kennedy Brooks of Oklahoma will be on display. 972 yards this season and 10 touchdowns. One of the best wide receivers in the game. And you also got to worry about getting 972 yards rushing this season, my bad. And 10 touchdowns. And Spencer Rattler's favorite target, Marvin Mims. 644 yards catching, 644 yards receiving this season, and 4 touchdowns to his credit. For Oklahoma State, we haven't talked much about Spencer Sanders, so we're going to. Spencer Sanders is only 3 yards short of having 2,000 for the season. He has 18 touchdowns to his credit and 6 interceptions. If Sanders can keep his cool, OU's got this. But don't forget, we have a 1,000-yard running back for Oklahoma State, Jalen Warren, 1,078 yards this season, 10 touchdowns. And who is Spencer Sanders' favorite target? Well, it's none other than Tay Martin. 54 catches this season for 765 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2021. It's going to come down to whose defense can answer the bell. It's going to come down to who takes this game. Is it OU's offense or Oklahoma State's defense? That's always been the question. A lot of people have said Lincoln Riley is overrated. But I'll tell you what, after that game against Baylor, I think he is overrated. But however, Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy is not taking any unnecessary chances. He knows what's at stake in this game, and he really does. You know, Mike Gundy said himself, if we can get the job done against the Sooners, and we can shut them up, it'll make my season. At least he didn't say, come after me, I'm a man, I'm 40. Lincoln Riley knows if he can beat Oklahoma State and win the Big 12, they get a rematch against Baylor. The winner of this game is going to get a rematch against Baylor no matter what. Or these two teams can meet again one more time. Think about it. Could this be a preview of the Big 12 championship game? That remains to be seen. I always keep my notes handy for a lot of good reasons. All right. That was our college football minute. But I'm not done talking about college football. I'm going to come back to college football at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. Well, everybody, it is Thanksgiving Day, and it means Thanksgiving Day football. We got 3 games on the slate today. I'm going to talk about 2 of them, but I will get this out of the way real quick. The Detroit Lions face the Chicago Bears at 12:30 on Fox. Hee-haw, I don't care. The Lions can't win a game to save themselves, and the Bears are just plain sorry at 3-7. So I'm not going to waste my time with that. But there are 2 other games I am going to talk about on this for the Thanksgiving Day feast. The Las Vegas Raiders face the Dallas Cowboys at 4 o'clock on CBS. The Dallas Cowboys will be minus Amari Cooper due to COVID-19. Las Vegas quarterback Derek Carr says it's a big game and we're playing in a hostile environment. The game is in Dallas. Keep that in mind. And the Raiders right now are trying to get themselves right back into the playoff race. Because right now the Las Vegas Raiders are on the outside looking in. A big win on the road in Dallas will help their playoff hopes. Quarterback Dak Prescott has had a subpar showing. He had a subpar showing against the Kansas City Chiefs, to say the least. But the good news is, for the Cowboys, offensive left tackle Tyron Smith is expected to be back, and that could be a huge boost. And that's what Dak Prescott really needs. Ezekiel Elliott made a comment saying, "We're back home on Thanksgiving Day. We're back at home here in Dallas, the way it should be. And if we can get the job done against the Raiders, we might be able to put ourselves in a better position than we were a couple weeks ago." Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy has said, We had a rough week. We got to recover. If we can get ourselves back into a position of winning games, we may be in the driver's seat to be the 1 seed in the NFC. As for the Las Vegas Raiders, it's been a crazy couple of months. They lose their head coach. They lose John Gruden because of some emails. They lose another player because he was brandishing a handgun. He got released. Henry Ruggs, he got released from the team after a fatal DUI. If the Raiders can play clean football today, they have a chance. But remember, the game is in Dallas. And Cowboys Stadium is a hostile environment. And that's all there is to it. This game, 4:30 on CBS today. Please enjoy. Now, the next game I'm going to talk about. This is the 8 o'clock primetime game tonight. The big main event here on NBC. The Buffalo Bills face the New Orleans Saints. But as it stands right now, both teams are on the outside looking in. The Bills would be a 7 seed as it stands right now. And the New Orleans Saints, they're at 5-5. Quarterback Josh Allen made a great statement the other day. Our playoff hopes are hanging by a thread, and a win would help. Keep in mind, the game is at the Superdome in New Orleans. The game is in New Orleans. Buffalo head coach Sean McDermott is 0-1 against the New Orleans Saints. And the last time the Bills beat the Saints in New Orleans, December 27th, 1998. It's been over 20 years since the Bills beat the Saints in New Orleans. Will that hold true tonight? Defensive end Cameron Johnson for the New Orleans Saints made this comment. We need to get back into the thick of the playoff race. Right now, we're competing for a wild card. We want to go to the playoffs, and if we can beat the Bills, that would be a big help. And Cameron Jordan's absolutely right. The Saints are playing the Bills in New Orleans. That's a big game tonight. I know it doesn't sound like much of a game, but let me tell you something. Playoff hopes are up for grabs tonight. And everybody knows that. And nobody knows it better than the New Orleans Saints and the Buffalo Bills here this evening. All right. Let's move on. This weekend, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers face the Indianapolis Colts. Tom Brady goes to Indy. Can he get the job done? That remains to be seen. But Tom Brady said something earlier this week that may have us talking. We need to win. We need a win, and we have a team that can do it. We can get the job done. And Tom Brady's got a great team. The reigning Super Bowl champs know how to do it. But Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor made this comment. We are on the outside looking in as far as the playoff picture goes. And why we want to beat Tom Brady. Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians has history with the Indianapolis Colts. He took over as an interim coach back in 2012 when Chuck Pagano had his cancer diagnosis. Arias went on to win Coach of the Year in 2012. So there's some history here. But this game Sunday will have everybody talking. Tom Brady, can he beat the Colts again? And can Jonathan Taylor go through the Buccaneers defense? We shall see. But this game promises to be fun. Both teams, as it stands right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the 4 seed in the playoffs. And the Indianapolis Colts at 6-5, they're hoping just to get a playoff berth and get in. They're on the outside looking in. With so much at stake, we'll wait and see what happens on this Sunday afternoon. All right, the next big game, I got to talk about it. the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. As it stands right now, the Bengals would be a 5 seed, and the Pittsburgh Steelers would be on the outside looking in at 5-4-1. Could that tie with the Detroit Lions hurt them? I think it may have just hurt them because they got to win out the rest of the way. The Bengals have beat the Steelers 2 straight. And Pittsburgh linebacker Devin Bush made this assumption. And he proclaimed this: I am healthy. 13 months after a torn ACL, I am ready to beat the Bengals. Well, Devin Bush, you're not the only one who feels that way. Ben Roethlisberger feels the same way. Mason Crosby feels the same way. But TJ Watt's going to be the question mark for this game. TJ Watt had a bad showing against the LA Chargers a couple of weeks ago, and he's been having some knee injuries, and that could be huge. Will TJ Watt play? And that's the big $64,000 question. And face it, the Steelers need him. 39 tackles, 29 sacks. 39 tackles, 29 solo, 12 and a half sacks, 3.5 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. That's what the Steelers will be missing if TJ Watt does not play on Sunday against the Bengals. And Cincinnati Bengals running back Joe Mixon's already said, we have beaten the Steelers twice in a row. We can beat them for a third time. That remains to be seen. If TJ Watt is healthy, look out, Cincinnati. You're going to have a long day. And I think TJ Watt's going to take them as fighting words. I know I would. Bengals, Steelers. The Bengals are a 5 seed as it stands right now. The Steelers are on the outside looking in. If the Steelers can get a win, they may be back in the playoff race before you know it. Look out. Pittsburgh is going to be gunning for Cincinnati. And that's the truth of the matter. All right. Let's move on. The Los Angeles Rams face the Green Bay Packers Sunday afternoon, and this is a 4:25 game on Fox. Wide receiver Cooper Kupp is not going to be making very many friends in Green Bay anytime soon. He said this about the Packers. He said, "We will beat the trashy Packers at the dumps. Yeah. Let me rephrase. Let me start again. We will beat the trashy Packers at the dump called Lambeau, and it's a horrible place to play at." Cooper Kupp, you're not very smart saying that. People at Lambeau Field, you insult Lambeau, you insult Green Bay, you got a target on your back. Green Bay offensive tackle Josh Najimy said, "Aaron Rodgers has me protecting him for a good reason. I'm the best of the best, and I will be more than happy to step up." He took a more cautious approach. But keep in mind, the Packers have won 6 of the last 7, including the divisional round playoff win against the Rams last season. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp is going to have a very long day after the way he ran his mouth. And let me say this. Both teams are in the playoffs as it stands right now. Green Bay is the 2 seed. The Rams are a 5 seed. And this game is going to be fun for so many reasons. Can the Rams beat the Packers at Lambeau? That remains to be seen. Will Cooper Kupp get knocked out for his comments about Green Bay and Lambeau Field and the way he called it, a trashy dump site? That remains to be seen as well. All right. And last but certainly not least, the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. I got some great news for the Browns fans. Kareem Hunt will be back. And he made this quote the other day: "I am so glad to be back after missing the last 5 games after being on injured reserve." Hunt was on injured reserve because of a calf injury. And he also said, let's take care of Baltimore. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson made this assumption. We will beat the Browns on Sunday, and you can go to the bank with that. He's making them go to the bank guarantee on that one. We'll have to wait and see. We will be, and he also said, and he also proclaimed that we will be the 1 seed in the AFC when it's all said and done. But also, too, believe it or not, there is a way that the Browns can still win the AFC North. The Browns can win the North if they beat Baltimore and they win out the rest of the way. The Browns can take the North. It may not be pretty, but they can get there. But they're going to need some love. If the Browns win the North, that's going to be something to write home about on this day. So that is your Saturday, Sunday slate for the Scott Manning YouTube Sports Weekend Kickoff Show. We do have some college games on Friday, but we got one tonight. Ole Miss, Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl game. That is tonight at 7:30, in case you don't want to watch the Bills face the Saints. We have all sorts of action tonight. And we got games on Friday. We got a great weekend in college basketball. That's going to be fun. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for some special closing thoughts. This past week, and this is coming from the world of the Big Ten, it was announced that Penn State coach James Franklin got his contract extended through 2031, which means James Franklin is going to be coaching the Penn State Nittany Lions for another 10 years. People in Happy Valley are kind of, okay, we gave you a contract extension. Now get the job done. And can he get it done? That's been the big question. This contract extension is coming from the season that Penn State's had. They've had an up and down season this year. Is he going to become the next Joe Paterno? We don't know. I don't think he will, but you never know. But as far as Michigan State goes, Mel Tucker just got a 10-year extension after the awesome season that Michigan State has had. They beat Michigan. And despite the fact that Michigan State got their doors blown off by Ohio State, Michigan State University found something in Coach Tucker that everybody's going to like. In 1 year, Coach Tucker's turned that program around. They're a top 25 team now, and they're in the top 15. So a pretty good season for the Michigan State Spartans. They beat Michigan. They had to come from behind to do that. So, Coach, I think everybody up in East Lansing is pretty happy about that decision. All right. As many of you guys know, today is Thanksgiving Day. And you guys are going to be sitting around the table having your Thanksgiving dinner and watching football all day. But before I go, I just want to give thanks. And I just want to let you know I am thankful for all of the men and women in the blue who wear the uniform every single day. Let's give thanks to those who can't be with their families today. I'm talking about our police officers. I'm talking about the medical personnel. I'm talking about our servicemen and women serving overseas in the United States military. Let's give thanks today. It's a special day. And I want to thank you guys. And I'm just so thankful for you guys, for all of you who tune in every week to make this show possible. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you. Now, before we close the show today, we're going to close it out with the Ohio State University Marching Band. Actually, I don't think we're going to be able to do that because I'm having some minor issues. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And I want to thank you guys so much for being with me. You guys have a happy Thanksgiving. I may be back tomorrow morning for the special Thursday wrap-up. I haven't decided yet. But I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here on this Friday, on this special Thursday episode. I will be back Sunday night at 11:30 with the weekend wrap-up show, as always. But I want to thank you guys for taking this time with me here this morning. I know we got a busy day ahead of us. I got to get ready for our Thanksgiving feast. And I want to thank you guys so much for being with me. You guys have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless. Goodbye, everybody. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and thank you so much for being with me here today. Goodbye, everybody, and I